Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to be talking about how to win your first kayak tournament. I'm going to have some B-roll going as I'm talking because I think it's a little better to just kind of watch what I'm doing and versus just me talk about it. So the first and probably the most important thing that often gets overlooked by people is doing scouting before you fish a tournament. Going in blind to a tournament is something I don't really recommend, especially for high stakes tournaments. That's just setting yourself up to donate your money to somebody that did their homework, more likely than not. And when I say scouting, you don't necessarily actually need to fish the place that you're going to be having the tournament at. In this instance, I won this tournament, and I had never fished there before. This was my first time ever fishing there. But what I did do was spend hours on Google Maps and different imaging sites to find what to me look like high production areas for the kind of fishing I like to do. And in this instance, I found a little cove that I could tell had some vegetation from different mapping tools I looked at, as well as just different camera views you can sometimes find are also really helpful, give you an idea of what a place looks like. And you can even change the dates in Google Maps to see what things look like at different times during the year if they've taken enough photos. So it's a really cool thing you can do. And it's something I really recommend because in this particular tournament, I ended up catching all of my fish in this one spot. And I won the tournament. And I caught them all in a place no bigger than like a small pond. So it's really important to always do your research and scout. It doesn't need to be pre-fishing, but you do need to do a little bit of work ahead of time. Now, this next tip is something that it doesn't always guarantee a win, but to me, it's pretty important in the grand scheme of things, especially when you're on a time crunch, is that when the tournament starts, be in a place where you think you're going to catch a fish. And when I say this, you want to go to the place that if you think, all right, I got to catch a fish in the first 5 minutes, you really should start in a place like that. You shouldn't start in a place where, well, I haven't caught fish here yet, or I've never caught fish here. You want to go to a spot that you have high confidence in, maybe a spot you've caught fish before, or a place you found in pre-fishing that was good. But you want to go to a spot where your first cast you think is going to be a high return. And you're probably thinking like, oh, well, you got all this time. But the important part of all the work you did ahead of time is to get yourself in position to catch something on tournament day. And you want to start it off by doing well right off the get-go. And in a lot of the tournaments that I've done well in, I've caught one of my bigger fish in the first couple minutes. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when tournaments start are often kind of those very productive times, whether you're fishing an evening tournament or you're fishing a tournament that starts in the morning. Those first couple minutes can often be kind of feed windows. And so you want to set yourself up for success right at the start. And in this tournament in particular, I caught 2 of my keepers in the first 5 minutes of the tournament. So it's just a lesson to set yourself up for success right from the get-go.
That was probably stupid.
Now, this next tip is kind of a bonus tip in that the video I'm showing is not from a tournament I won, but it was a tournament I got second place in, and I did finish really close to first. And the only reason that I did end up doing as well as I did is because I made a serious move about halfway through the tournament. And it was something I had not done before, but the results can't really, I can't really complain about the results just because of how I finished. But the thing is, in this tournament, I started at one place and a big storm was rolling in. And I knew my chances of doing well at that spot with the storm were lower. And I decided to pack up and go 30 minutes away to another spot. And when you're fishing a tournament, the ramp you choose can often make or break what's going to happen. And in this instance, it worked out for me because at that point, I only had 2 keepers. And if I would have kept where I was at, I wasn't confident I was going to get that third fish. And so by me moving, I ended up catching another really solid fish. And then I caught actually my third keeper. So I caught 2 of my best 3 fish that day at the second location. So it's kind of like an unspoken rule, but don't get kind of stuck in one spot because if the bite dies, it doesn't always come back. So it just this is kind of like an extra tip because it's not really about the fishing. It's more of just about like paying attention to the time and what time is left, and just a time management thing that some people are better at it than others. Now for this next tip, this one's kind of obvious, and I touched a little bit on it earlier. But one way to do well in a tournament, and specifically to win, is to pre-fish. Now, just because you pre-fish doesn't mean you're going to win. And I'm using this example from when I went down to Tennessee, where I caught a really good fish in practice. And then on the tournament day, I ended up catching one of the fish that I submitted right nearby. And I think what the important thing is, when you're pre-fishing, it's to not spend too much time on a spot when you find fish, because you don't want to soil up them too much. And when you're doing pre-fishing, I think it's just important to find the fish, but not spend too much time actually catching them. And that's something that has contributed to wins for me, just because I kind of knew where the fish would be. I didn't try to catch too many before the actual tournament. And last but not least, the honestly most important part of winning your first kayak tournament is to throw lures that you're comfortable with. One thing I would really avoid is looking up what lures do good somewhere or seeing what other people do when it's a lure you've never used before. I think one of the pitfalls we fall into as anglers is watching things online, seeing what other people are using, and then be like, oh, that lure worked for them, so then it's going to work for me too. But what if it's a lure you've never caught a fish with, and you're deciding today in the tournament is the first time you're going to use it? And that can work, certainly. And I'm not saying it hasn't worked in the past. I had a tournament this year. I threw a lure that I had never really thrown. But this was also after I'd already caught 25 fish. So little different scenario. When the money's on the line and you're trying to win a tournament and you haven't caught fish, it's really important to use a lure that you have confidence in, because once you build some of that confidence, it's really a mental thing a lot of times with winning a tournament. If you don't think you can win, you're not going to win. There's really nothing else to it. If you go into it thinking you can win, it helps a lot. People don't factor in some of the mental stuff with fishing enough. And so when I say to throw a lure that you have confidence in a tournament, it doesn't mean you have to only use your favorite lure. It just means use lures that you know you can catch fish with. Don't rely on what other people do, because most of the best tournaments I've had have been me throwing the lures I have the most confidence with. And this past year, in the 3 tournaments that I won, I threw 3 lures that were important for my placements: spinnerbait, a Cinco, and then just a simple bot worm. And those were my 3 big lures for my success this year, and they're 3 lures I've caught tons of fish on, just have tons of confidence in. And sometimes everything just falls into place for you with those lures that you like.